Well, I don't think we'll be successful today in passing anything, but I do think that it will establish the foundation for doing something a third way that is successful. As you know, I've been meeting with Democrats and Republicans alike over the past couple of weeks, and in our meetings last night and in my conversations this morning with Democrats, I do think that we're closer to something that would make sense. I think two things have happened. One is that today the House of Representatives actually put out a more robust border security package, which helps because it shows that we're not that far apart. And second, you have the president now saying that he is willing not just to have the border security package supported by us, but also he's willing to help with regard to these young people who came here as children through no fault of their own, the so-called DACA population, and to help provide certainty to them, which is really important to a lot of Democrats and a lot of us on the Republican side. So there's a way forward I see now. However, the politics and partisanship is still tough to break through. My hope is that after the votes today, which will be unsuccessful, there will then be a third effort. I'll be speaking on the floor about that this afternoon after the two votes, along with some colleagues on both sides of the aisle. And I think that there is now some hope, some light at the end of the tunnel, because we got to end the shutdown. It makes no sense. And we have to provide border security, which is an important priority.
Do you get the sense that this is picking up steam? Like this could be something you guys meet over the weekend and, I don't know.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I mean, we're at the point now where it is clear what the path forward is, I think. I think there's a compromise to be made. I think both sides have agreed that, they'd like to see border security. Both sides have agreed that we'd like to help take care of some of these young people who came here through no fault of their own, in addition to some people who are here on a temporary protected status. It's called TPS, which 10 countries around the world have this status where citizens are not asked to go back because there's a war or there's a natural disaster or some other issue, and that's very important to a lot of Democrats as well. And the president has made a proposal to provide some certainty to those folks too. So I think there's a way forward here, and I hope that we can put the politics aside and say, okay, we've each been able to make our arguments. Now let's actually get this government back on track and provide needed border security.
The former governor of Ohio always had a favorite saying that change comes from the bottom up. And I saw a recent ABC News poll from January 13th that 18% of Americans feel that the shutdown impacted them. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, you had the head of the air traffic controllers come out and say the calculated level of risk is unprecedented. Would it take something like a national air shutdown or worse to cause an uproar from the bottom to force Congress to act?
It shouldn't. I mean, we're already in a situation where we're asking people, you mentioned air traffic controllers, to go to work without pay, who are critically important to our safety. There are a lot of people in uniform, including the TSA personnel at our airports, who are working without pay. There are also Coast Guardsmen on Lake Erie, right outside of Cleveland today, who are working without pay. And that's not right. They should not be part of this debate. This debate ought to be an honest debate, a spirited debate. That's fine. Differences of opinion are fine. But let's come to a resolution where we don't harm these families and we don't harm the taxpayers. I'm not a fan of shutdowns, as you know. My legislation, the End Government Shutdowns bill, has been reintroduced. I'm getting more co-sponsors, by the way, because they don't work for the taxpayer either. They're bad for those families who are suffering now, but it's also bad because taxpayers end up paying more in the end, because you do get back pay in the end, and yet there hasn't been work performed often. Because the irony here is some people are going to work who are essential and not getting paid. Other people are not going to work, and yet they're going to get paid. It's not smart, and it's also not good for the economy. We have new information coming out showing that it's every week the shutdown goes on, it's about 0.13% reduction in our quarterly economic growth. That means that if this goes on another 20 days or so, you're going to see a 1-point drop in GDP. So at a time when the economy is finally doing well, we're finally seeing wages increasing, we're finally seeing unemployment at the low levels that we wanted to see. Now we have something going the other way, which is the shutdown, which is hurting the economy. So let's get it back on track. Let's work out our differences, and let's move ahead. We've got a lot of other issues to address as well.